Hello, boys and girls. Welcome to Mr. Krutinger's Art Class Live. Now today, we're going to be working on the weaving project using cardboard. We cut a bunch of cardboard strips that were about 1 inch wide and as long as you could, given whatever type of cardboard that you had. Now I decided I'm actually going to use 12 pieces and we're going to start off making a little mat. The mat should look a little something like this when it is done, all woven together, and I didn't even need to use any glue or tape to secure it together. However, that is something you can do, and it does make it a little easier if you have those supplies, but it's not necessary. And if you want to do the advanced version, you can actually instead make it into a little basket like this. Now, we're not going to actually do the basket, but when it gets to that point of the project where you would use those techniques, I'll show you quickly what to do, and then we'll go back to making our mat. Without any further ado, let's jump into it. So again, a closer up version here, this is what the mat's going to look like. Okay. Now, the colors will vary depending on how you arrange your pieces. Now, if you want it just to look like cardboard, all these sides with the color, you want those all down then. Then it'll just look like a cardboard checkerboard. In this case, I took half of them and faced them up and the other half face down, which gave it this type of pattern. However, you can have them all face up as well. And that will look really cool if you used a bunch of different color boxes. It can add a lot of variety. To make this somewhat hopefully easier to see on the camera, I'm going to have half of them face up and half of them face down. Now I cut them a little longer than I probably will need. It's always nice to have them a little longer because you can always trim them down. Now one more thing, this is optional, but it will make this whole process a whole lot easier, and that is to tape these pieces down to the table. It'll just keep it from shifting around on you because it's going to want to float around. So let me grab a little piece of tape here, okay, and I'll just kind of tape that down very gently. Okay, and then I'm going to start weaving. Now, what I want to do, now if I was going to make a really big piece, I'd weave the first piece and slide it all the way to the side. However, because of how we're going to be putting this mat together by folding the tabs over, I want to grow it from the middle. I'll show you what I mean. So you take the first piece and you want to change going over and under, just like this. So the first one I'll go under, second one I'm going over. The next one, under, over, under, over, okay? So now we have one piece that is woven in. Now, when you do the next one, you want to do the opposite. So I went under this one, so I'm going to go over it this time. Okay? And same for the rest of the pieces. So what happens now is that if I try to push these together, they can't overlap. Okay? That's how you'll know that you accidentally did it wrong. Because watch, I'll do this piece wrong. I'll do it the same. Over, under, over, under, over, under. And if it looks like that, which does look similar, but look what happens. They can overlap now. If your pieces can overlap by sliding by, that means you did it incorrect. You have to take it out and make sure you do it in reverse. So over, under, over, under, over, under. So just like that. And look at that. We're making great progress. I'll take another one and continue. Over, under, over, under, over, under. Make sure you hit every single one. A common thing that students do on accident is they'll accidentally go over two of them. I'll show you what that looks like too. Watch. So they start off doing it correct. And then they skip one on accident like this. That's a common mistake too. See, I skipped this one. There we go. Now I have one more piece, and this is what will make mine into a square. Now, if you want yours to be more like a table mat or a placemat, you could add more pieces this way. However, it's not necessary. So there we go. I have it all woven together just like this. Now this tape is not necessary anymore. And again, you didn't necessarily have to have it in the beginning, but it does make it a lot easier to manage. Now, if my pieces were shorter, and if I wanted to save a lot of time and just be done with this, you could easily put tape around the edges and then trim what's left over, and then you can be done. You can be absolutely done. However, another way you can do it is just using some glue. You could use some Elmer's glue. I don't have any here, but actually for the basket, to make it a little easier, I just used a little touch of super glue under those tabs and bent them down and glued them. Again, you could use hot glue, you could use super glue, you could use really pretty much any glue you want. But before we go to how to close this up without using any sort of adhesives, I'm going to show you what you would do if you were going to do the basket. Now, like I said, we're not going to end up doing the basket today. However, this is what you would do. What first thing you would do is you would bend all these tabs up all the way around. And I'm going to do that really quick because not only is that part of the process for doing the basket, it's also part of the process for closing this up without adhesive. So after you fold all these like this, you actually would continue, if you're doing the basket, you would continue the exact same weaving technique, but now you would just stand it up on its side. So watch this. I would weave like this, going every other. And then when you get to the corners, you bend this piece. You would just weave that same process like this, and you can go as high as you want. And just again, to see how that looks, it looks like this. This is a mini version of it. Okay, but like I said, we're going to be doing the mat. So now in order to secure this, here's what you do. You fold this down and you're going to tuck it inside here. So watch, I'll trim this here. And then what I do is I'm going to tuck it inside of there like that. And I'll do that for every other one. And just like that, we have a nice little coaster that, dare I say, would go great with my mug. Mr. Kreu likes his coffee. Boom. All right, there it is. Again, my own little custom-made coaster for my coffee. You could use it as a play mat, a little dinner mat, whatever you want. And it's really fun. You could even, I saw some kids before kind of use it as a checkerboard as well and cut up some of these extra little pieces and make little checker pieces. That's also a great idea. Again, if you do this, I would love to see your project and what you came up with, especially if you came up with another interesting way of doing it or another way of using it, whether you do the mat or whether you do one of the little baskets. And special thanks too to art teacher alumni at South Davis, Mr. Wilson. I was chatting with him the other day and he said, why don't you do some weaving? And I was like, that's such a great idea. So again, special thanks to Mr. Wilson for giving us this fun little idea for this activity. And boys and girls, I cannot wait to see the art projects that you come up with, and make sure you post them down in the links below. And I will see you next time.